unbiased content science. So thank you for sticking around, and looks like you all survived my lunch cold pot earlier in the day. So if you weren't here for that earlier, boy, one hell of a joke. So presentation is our first part of this afternoon. We have two gentlemen here from the IAB coming across from enemy lines at some other conference, apparently across the street or across the town. And interactivity is something that hasn't been really truly discussed as of yet today, at least in this track. What that means and what it brings to the mix, both in terms of complexity as well as opportunity, is the genesis of this chat. So I'm going to leave it to the IAB. Again, we're not supposed to admit that they're here, but I'll let Peter take it. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. My name is Peter Minnium, head of brand initiatives at the IAB, and my esteemed colleague is Seneca Mudd, director of industry initiatives. And of course, the IAB is the trade association that represents over 95% of the volume of digital advertising, so 95% of the dollars, and our job is to get that 95% to double. One of the ways to do that is to bring true interactivity to the flood of digital video advertising that's sure to come. There are two aspects to doing this, however, and I have fallen back on an old cliche of the art and science, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. Believe it or not, I'm going to do the art, and Seneca is going to do the science. The truth is we had no scientists to bring along, so Seneca is going to have to do today. This statistic is actually criminal. 99% of digital video advertising today does not have an interactive component. I say that's criminal because surely we should have learned our lesson with display. Surely, when the flood of inventory comes into the digital video inventory space, the flood of inventory comes into the space without an interactive component, without a way of actually engaging with the viewer, we're going to see CPMs crash through the floor. I have been stupid or optimistic or just plain argumentative to have gone on the record to say that within the next 24 months, 50%, fully half of digital video advertising will have an interactive component. The truth is, I say this because I want people to ask me for the evidence, ask me why. And the answer to that, very unscientifically, is why not? Why in God's name would you have digital advertising which doesn't have at least some interactive component? And of course, there are big problems to enabling that ecosystem, but that's what we're here for today. And so, as I mentioned, it will take art and science, creativity, and technology, or more specifically from an IAB perspective, it's going to take, from a technological perspective, the continued development and adoption of the V Suite, which my technical friend is going to talk about, and it will take scale digital video ad formats in the form of rising stars, which is what I'm going to talk about. And so we're going to start with, is it beauty over age? Is it technology over
age over wisdom?
So it's Seneca over Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Just a quick survey of the room, everybody. Who here is from the buy side, either a brand or an agency or representative? I'm going to get a sense. Okay, great. Kind of intermediaries, networks, or rich media providers, technology firms. All right, good. And on the publisher side, publishers or networks. Okay, great, good call. So at the IAB, I'm in charge of our video efforts, and I work with folks throughout the entire ecosystem. And one of the things we do is, one, standards with industry on critical platforms and applications, and then two, to advocate for revenue shift, obviously, over to this very, very important sector. So although I haven't written code in many years, I work with the engineers that have worked with us to create the video suite. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So just take you back about 4 years ago, it was chaos. There was no common parlance on how video assets, both on the ad side and the content side, should be produced and rendered and exchanged between parties. So we came with the idea and we said, let's set a few standards to increase interoperability and drop the amount of waste in the industry so that producers and consumers can have more seamless experience. That was a way to drive adoption. I'm a big believer that standardization facilitates adoption and increases the market share for everyone. And part of what we did is to create two of the protocols that are the legacy inputs to what we've now renamed the video suite. They were VAST and VK, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a second. But we went out and we set these standards. The industry largely adopted them, at least the major publishers and networks. And we created a little bit of order out of what was previously chaos. So more recently, in July, we went back and revisited those standards and upgraded them and called them the video suite. We refreshed the first two standards I mentioned, and we put a new one in called Minnium. So you'll see the three here. Think of them as three pillars supporting the video suite. So VAST, VK, and Minnium. And I'll give you what the acronyms stand for here, and believe me, this will be the first and last time anybody will read that to you. VAST stands for Video Ad Serving Template. VK is the Video Player Ad Interface Definition, and VMAP is the Video Multiple Ad Playlist. But just like no one calls ABC the American Broadcasting Company, everybody refers to the acronyms here. Essentially, these foundational documents allow for producers and publishers of the various pre-roll units to speak the same language and to standardize the process. Whenever I talk about digital communication, obviously a very intangible, almost theoretical operational space. So one of the things that I like to do is come up with a tangible analogy to make it a little bit more concrete. And the one that I think applies pretty well here is the global shipping industry. How many people have seen global shipping containers, those large steel corrugated boxes? Those are the base unit for global logistics, and they're used to ship everything from furniture to apparel, consumer products, even automobiles. Basically, to use the new United States Postal Service logo or slogan, if it fits, it ships. That's essentially how you can think about those boxes. So they are the standard unit, and they're all denominated in denominations of 20 feet. So the standard one is about 20 feet long, the next one goes to 40 feet, and the unit is called a TEV, or 20 equivalent unit. And so the industry quotes the size of the vessel based upon TEVs. The great thing about these shipping containers is they basically facilitate global trade. And you can send any parcel from one part of the world to the next. So your smartphone that was made in Shenzhen last Monday gets put into a smaller packaging unit, into one of these boxes, onto a shipping liner, and then is offloaded in Long Beach in California, and you can buy it in Union Square this afternoon. So that's essentially what we were thinking about in coming up with a system that standardizes a lot of the transmission of the core units. Like global shipping, vSuite relies heavily on orderly logistics in order to be a viable system. And also like global shipping, it's international, it's interdependent. So the ad comes in, it renders and plays, the content then follows, then we've got another break and another ad. It is seamless. For superior user experience, they're really not feeling the shift between content and ad if the producer and publisher is doing it right. And it's continuous. So the system is predicated upon continuous flow. And that's exactly what we try to do when we created this new construct. So back to the global shipping analogy, VAST is essentially the container. It is a system that oversees the structural elements of the transmissions of the assets, namely the parameters and the dimensions of the units. VAST itself also conveys some other parts of the transmission of the package, again, functional units. So start, stop, pause time, screen size, scale, aspect ratio, frame advance rate. all of the formal qualities that are embedded in pre-rolls can be coded and communicated through VAS. The other aspect, and I'm going to talk a lot about the benefits to advertisers, because that's essentially the buyers of this product, who they are in this industry, and that's what we build any standard for, is the buy side. It allows for capable reporting. And that's really essential because your clients want to know on a daily, if not weekly basis, what the status of the campaign is, what's working, what's not, when are people stopping in the middle of my ad, what are they pausing on, what are they hovering over, what's the call to action, is it getting into the DNA of the audience I want to touch. And then probably equally important for this group too is it eliminates the guesswork behind format compatibility. Back to 4 years ago, an agency would produce a spot, encode it in a certain format, sign a deal with a publisher, hope that would run there, but that model is entirely unscalable. Now you can create one unit and essentially have a wider distribution chain to allow you to distribute that across a host of sites and network partners. So that is VAS, the container. So next we look at VPay. And VPay is essentially a common interface between the ad unit and the video player. So to go back to the shipping container analogy, VPay is the manifest. So all of these shipping containers, many of them are packed with different items going to different receivers in different parts of the world. So the shipper has a manifest for each container, and that manifest essentially is encoded with international commercial codes that allow customs to automatically recognize the vessel and say, you know, the car has a tariff, but the cell phone does not, that sort of thing. So VPay is very similar. It's a set of instructions talking about what's inside of VAST. This is important because it reduces friction in the supply chain, making it very clear and transparent what the unit is and what we're talking about. It also provides a common specification for advertisers to develop against. And this is probably the most important thing if you're a producer of pre-rolls and videos. If you're taking your 30-second spots from telecast, resizing them, re-encoding them for a 15-second pre-roll. Hugely important. And then finally, improved video ad supply liquidity. Again, 4 years ago, we had a big problem with kind of an unbalanced market. And some would say that when it comes to certain forms like long form or indeed shorter inventory, one of the things that we work hard to do is provide a little bit more liquidity in the market so that there's a more even kind of meeting point for the buy and sell sides. And we believe that VPay helps both partners achieve that. So VPay is the manifest. Then finally, VMAP is the template for content owners to describe the structure for ad inventory delivery. More simply put, it's unpacking instructions. So think of your own personal packing when you travel for business or leisure. You know, I, for one, when I'm packing a rollerboard, put my shoes at the bottom, put sweaters around the corners. I'm flying to San Francisco, I'll put like a light windbreaker in the outside zipper pocket because it's always chilly on that park platform after you get off the plane. So the same is true for packing a shipping container. Heavier items go on the outside, liquids have a certain protocol, flammable items have others. So VMAP is the unpacking instructions, which is essential for the player side to know what you're talking about. So keys there are around, again, important functionalities. Podding. Podding is the ability to run the commercial in the given space in the breaks between the content. You can choose when your commercial will run, first pod, second, third, which order the commercials will run in, if you have multiple commercials within the same pod. Ad breaks and cadence, very, very important. Some systems modify to the way users are experiencing the video and will run more commercials up front in a pre-block or save them for the back end after the user kind of grown comfortable with the content. It enables for a much cleaner ad experience. Again, our goal is to minimize the break time between content and ads. And then finally, it enhances control rights. So one of the things we're seeing a lot from producers of pre-roll is the ability to control where your ad goes, who sees it, and the adjacency questions of where it will run, either against content or shoulder to shoulder with other ads coming in from other advertisers. So VMAP is the unpacking instructions. Taken together, these protocols all support vSuite. They've got a core function and several benefits to the advertiser. So when you're thinking about this, talking about it with colleagues, conceptualizing what kind of the nuts and bolts operating manual for digital video transmission is, the easiest way to think about it is it's digital video where the shipping industry, the video suite creates the conditions for cargo to arrive safely and intact. So just really quickly, I know some people will want to bring to your attention either your ops department or your buyers and planners. We have published the full suite on our site. It's available for you to look through. But most importantly, the highlights of what it means for you as an advertiser or an agency professional is also there. And I'll be here for the rest of Peter's week. Thank you.
I cannot overestimate the importance of getting the technology side right. 3 years ago, it truly was chaos, and we now see projections of digital video advertising going from 1 billion to 20 billion in 5 years. Could not happen without this fundamental technological innovation. Also can't happen without some order from the chaos in terms of advertising formats. You guys all know the IAB as the standard setting body, and this really matters because today over 80% of the volume, at least in the display area, goes to an IAB standard ad format. It has created a market and driven the growth of display, and we're going to do the same thing when it comes to digital video. Here was the standard ad package from the IAB circa 2011. In the 16 years of the development of the digital advertising ecosystem, we had managed to move from 1 to 18 units. We had filled an entire page, but we hadn't managed to move off the page. To move off the page, to move beyond display, and to move into truly interactive experiences, we began a program to bring rapid innovation to these standards. And it's not going that way. I'm going to talk about the program in its entirety because it includes the digital video standard setting. But as background, this program, Rising Stars, was designed to discover and capture for the good of the entire ecosystem the industry's best ad products and make them IAB standard ad formats. There are 4 pillars to this program, which we are running right now for digital video. The first is that instead of the IAB or the sell side determining what the standard ad format should be, we took a wisdom of the crowd approach and made it an entirely open call for entries. Secondly, and equally as important, instead of us judging what we think the best standards should be, we asked agencies, creative media, digital, to evaluate, judge, and ultimately name the next IAB ad standards. In the program, we then have an in-market evaluation period, and after success in this period, the new formats become part of the IAB standard ad package. We have run this in display. We are in the middle of it for mobile, and we're sort of a third of the way through in digital video. And again, as background, I'm going to do a brief intro to what has happened in display to give you a sense of what I mean in terms of innovative new ad formats. So here's the results of the Rising Stars program for display. In a year, when I'm up here talking again, I will show you another video, this time with the digital video Rising Stars. However, since I don't have that, innovation that the Rising Stars program is bringing. And this is a summary of where the display Rising Stars took the standard ad unit portfolio with the classics, we'll call them the legacy units, up in the upper left-hand corner, and these new units changing the portfolio. Essentially 50% of this is brand new. But we didn't stop there. We then moved this program into the mobile space because the IAB had no standard ad format in mobile. Over its 16 years, it had not developed any. So the second Rising Stars program, leading up to the third, which is digital video, was the mobile program. And we named, several months ago, 5 new mobile ad formats, the IAB's first ever ad standards for mobile. I'm going to show you, obviously this is available on the IAB site, but I'm going to show you 2 of these units in particular because I think they're very important from a digital video's perspective. The first is the mobile film strip. Let me just show a quick demo. Germane to the topic that we're discussing here today, is the IAB's mobile full-page flex. This is a tablet ad that is a full-page experience. Let me show you a demo, and you'll see how I think it's moving into the digital video territory. And a special prize for anyone who can tell me what this ad format specific ad format was. We're going to stop it there. And so let's talk about how this program has been extended to digital video. And the question here is what's going to replace the 30-second television commercial that has been the standard currency for X gazillion years. We had the agencies who were in the working group develop the parameters for the open competition. And they essentially asked for 3 things. These are the agencies. On that agency working group, there were representatives of more than 90% of the volume, at least in the US. The first thing they said is, we want in-stream linear interactive formats. So this is not in banner, this is not an overlay. It's a piece of film interactive component. The second, they said, we want this, Peter, to play on any device that has a player. So don't give us formats for desktop, don't give us different formats for tablets. We want it to be cross-device. And the third thing that they said is that we want to judge creative ad products, like iViews product. We don't want to talk about specific features. Here's just actually half of the people who are on the agency working group who were doing the judging actually couldn't fit all their logos. And this group is going to judge the submissions on 5 criteria. The first is user experience. The second, branding, which is code for creativity. The third, functionality. The fourth, page integration, which in this sense means how elegantly it integrates with the content. And the fifth is adoption. As I technically say, can it be adopted widely without breaking the internet? I now have, at the IAB, 6 dozen submissions for this program. They are now in the judging phase, an ad operations judging phase, and then the agency will judge. We will name the IAB's first ever digital video ad standards at the turn of the year. And so I just want to make one point before we move on, because I slagged off the IAB at the start of this presentation, suggesting that we waited too long to innovate on the portfolio, that taking 16 years to simply fill a page was maybe not the best use of time, because I think we've made it up in the past 2 years. And so by the end of this year, we will have new display ad formats, new mobile standard ad formats. We will have the IAB's first ever digital video ad formats. And so by the end of this year, that standard ad package, which we've all come to know and love, will be 70% new. We'll have rich integrated experiences as a standard component of the ads, not custom, and we'll be working across screens. And so there you have the art and science, the ad formats by the rising stars, which we'll see at the end of the year, and the technology underpinnings of the B-Suite. And that's going to help us move from a $1 billion industry to a $20 billion industry within 5 years, and hopefully make my prediction of having half of all digital video ads interactive within the next 24 months come true. You can find Seneca